What if Garou met Jesus? When the fury that denounces injustice meets the meekness that reveals truth, what remains of a man who built his own identity in confrontation? Garou grew up learning that the world operates on stories too simple to accommodate real people. Stories where heroes exist to be applauded and villains exist to be crushed. Stories where victory defines right and defeat defines wrong. From a very early age, he realized that these stories did not ask who fell first, who was pushed, who was beaten in silence, while everyone pretended not to see. The script was already written before the first blow, and Garou, not knowing why, was always cast in the role that no one wanted to defend. In childhood, he was not the physically weakest, but he was the most exposed. There was something in him that attracted collective disdain, as if his mere presence authorized the cruelty of others. He was beaten and heard laughter. He was beaten and heard applause. He was beaten and heard adults saying that it would make him stronger. But no one asked what it did to him inside. No one asked what it was like to carry the invisible mark of someone who always loses, even when trying. Garou began to observe. He observed how the stronger ones received forgiveness even before making a mistake. He observed how the popular ones were protected even when they hurt others. He observed how the word justice was used to justify any violence, as long as it was practiced by the right side. And something began to form inside him. It was not just anger, it was bitter lucidity. A realization that the world did not want justice, it wanted winners. He tried for a while to fit in. He tried to accept that the game was like this. He tried to believe that if he trained more, if he got better, if he became stronger, maybe one day he would be on the other side. But each attempt only deepened the feeling that the problem was not strength. It was the system. A system that needed villains to function, monsters to justify heroes. It was then that the idea emerged, not as an explosion, but as a persistent whisper. What if the villain was necessary? What if someone needed to consciously take on that role, not out of malice, but to expose the farce? What if the hatred that everyone pretended to fight was, in fact, the secret fuel of the prevailing order? Garou did not decide to become a monster for pleasure. He decided out of conviction. Each fight became a manifesto. Each defeated hero, a question thrown to the world. He did not ask in words, but in impact. Are you really just, or merely comfortable winners? But conviction does not protect against weariness. The body grew stronger, but the mind became a minefield. Garou began to sleep poorly. He started to mentally replay the same scenes, the same humiliations, the same justifications. He told himself that it was necessary, that revolutions are never pretty, that no one changes the world by being kind. Still, there were nights when the silence weighed more than any blow. He realized something he refused to admit. The more he fought against the heroes, the more the world seemed pleased to hate him. He had become convenient, a perfect enemy, a monster that confirmed all expectations. And that infuriated him, because it meant that even while trying to break the system, he was still trapped in it. There were days when Garou wondered if he still remembered why he started. The answer came quickly, automatically, almost rehearsed. To protect the weak, to expose hypocrisy, to break the cycle. But those answers began to sound hollow, like slogans repeated without renewed conviction. The hatred that once drove him began to tire. When the collapse came, it was not heroic. There was no audience. There was no narrative. It was just a body at its limit, a mind saturated, and a question he could no longer ignore. Was it worth it? The question did not seek an immediate answer. It was deeper. Was it worth becoming what I hate? It was at this point of exhaustion that the presence manifested. Not with spectacle, not with force, not with imposed authority. Just someone there, close, silent, real. Garou tried to react by reflex, but the body did not obey. The fatigue was greater than the anger. Did you come to defeat me too? The response came in a soft, firm voice. I did not come to fight against you. Garou laughed, a broken laugh, almost a sob. So you came to call me a villain. I came to call you by name. The phrase crossed something ancient. Garou frowned, suspicious. You don't know me. I know the boy who was beaten while the world called it justice. The silence became heavy. Who are you? I am the one who was rejected so that others could feel right. Garou felt his chest tighten. Jesus. Jesus replied in a soft, firm voice. Yes. Garou looked away. Then explain it to me. Why did you let the world become this? Why did you let the strong crush the weak in the name of good? Jesus remained silent for a moment, as if not shying away from the question. Then he said, because love does not force the human heart, it invites. Invitations don't work in a world like this. They work for those who are tired of winning the wrong way. Garou felt something crack inside. I fought for the weak, and carried alone a weight that was never meant for a man. Someone had to do it. Jesus replied in a firm and serene voice. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28. Garou shut his eyes tightly. I don't trust heroes. Nor did I trust. Jesus replied with bare truth. I was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Book of Isaiah, chapter 53, verse 3. Then why didn't you become a monster? Because evil is not healed with mirrors. Jesus answered in a gentle yet firm voice. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 44. Garou laughed, but the laughter died quickly. That's impossible. For men, yes, Jesus continued. But for God, all things are possible. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 26. Garou felt the tears come, not from easy regret, but from deep exhaustion. If I stop, I disappear. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16, verse 25. Silence returned. Garou was breathing heavily. Something in him was not healed, but it was exposed. For the first time, he didn't need to be a hero or a monster, just human. When Jesus stood up, he did not promise that the world would change. He promised something different. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 32. Garou stood there, alone again, but different. Hatred still existed. The world was still unjust. But there was a crack in the cycle, a possibility. And then the story ceases to be about Garou. Maybe you have also been pushed into a role you didn't choose. Maybe you learned to survive by hardening. Maybe you turned anger into identity. Maybe you are tired of fighting against a world that never asked your name. The good news is this. You don't have to be a monster to be seen. You don't have to win to have value. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 16. If this story spoke to you, don't ignore it. Don't harden once again. Respond. Comment. I don't want to carry this alone anymore. Share with someone who is living in war within. Sign up to continue this journey. Because even those who have been called monsters can hear their name being called in love.